In that trip down, buildings were still coming down, they're evacuating buildings in Boston. No one knew what was going on. No one had all the answers, and it was like going to war, except that we weren't in offensive force. That's the intensity you had. I got home, I just remember feeling, I opened up the back door, and you looked at the green grass, and you said, it was like a decompression, almost like, whoa, this is where you're supposed to be at.
I feel that my wife and 3,000 other people were murdered. You try not to let these thoughts enter your mind because they're devastating. I lose sleep now for another 2 or 3 days after talking about it. Recall all the things you did, smiles, the touches, the kisses. You sit and smile and remember, and you miss it. You miss it along with the thoughts of hatred of the people that did it. Every day, we'd write 5 things that you should be thankful for. Paige never missed a day. Because she did it, I do it now. Yeah, I still have all her lists. Frozen yogurt, daffodils, Chinese food, airplanes. Look at this. Thankful for airplanes. Oh my God, I didn't notice that. Wow. Laughter, breezes, makeup. Isn't that wonderful?
Go down there with the hopes of rescuing, we're thinking hundreds of possible survivors, and to find out that there just aren't any. The part of the whole experience that settled most with you, that we weren't able to make any rescues.
And then I heard the second plane hit. The fireball literally went over our hotel.
Every time we see a plane in the sky, it's too low, that looks too fast, which is silly, but every day I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think I would ever recover from it. It's something I think about still often.
Just because a plane goes down somewhere, you stop flying. Just because there's a bad accident somewhere in a car, do you stop driving? You cannot live your life fear.
I think we were closer after that, but fortunately we were there together and not that we each had the same understanding of what happened versus if he were alone or I was alone and we wouldn't have understood together.
I don't know how much I've made peace with it. It's something that's still very much alive, and sometimes I'm able just to be like, oh yeah, my uncle died in the World Trade Center, and people are like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, just anyone dying is very sad. But it was, my uncle was a wonderful person, and he was really wonderful to my cousins, so that was, we have lots of good memories of him.
The devastating part about it was that 343 firefighters died. That was devastating. It was like losing 343 relatives. As a firefighter, I believe that you take your biggest risk when you raise your right hand and swear an oath. I'm grateful for every breath that I take because I know I'm not guaranteed the next one. So those things were ingrained in me prior to 9/11, and that hasn't changed. Life is definitely very fragile. We realize that.
I feel more frustration, I think, than anger. Frustrated that my mom couldn't get home. The bad things are when I go to reach for my phone to call her, and it still happens all the time, and then I realize I can't. When my nephew was born, Mom wasn't there to tell us what to do for me and my sister, and that was really hard. I think harder than we ever imagined. I think every day is a different day, and I never know what to wake up and expect. A day that goes from good to bad or vice versa, you just don't know. So I think I just wake up every day and take one step forward. That's how we're trying to live our lives now, is to make her proud, and I think she would be.
In retrospect, what I say is, thank you, God, for giving him to me for 32 years, because every single day of my 32 years was a pleasure. As foolish as it seems 5 years later, I pray to God that somewhere he has amnesia. because I've never found him. We've never found anything of Bill. And I always have that little ray of hope that I know it's ridiculous to say and to think about, but being a mom, you grasp onto any single thing you can because you just don't want to commit to say, he's not here anymore. So you move on because you have to, and because your son would be furious with you if you didn't. But you also take that step back saying, God, what happened to you, Bill? Where were you? Why didn't you come down those stairs? Why weren't you one of the lucky ones? And then you take a step back again, feeling guilty, feeling that way, because so many other people have been in the same situation as I am, losing all their wonderful loved ones. You can't tell people that it's easier and it gets easier, because it doesn't get easier, but it gets bearable and you can go on. Life does go on. And that's how I think I'd like people to think that that's how I handle my life.